What's up, model building fans? Hey, it's Brian, and we're doing an entry video for the Pro Street / Gasser build that Mr. Dillon is hosting again yet this year, and I believe this is the 4th year running now. I remember being part of this back in its inaugural days when it first got started, and it was a lot of fun then, and it still is now, which is why I'm happy to join in on this one. Now, in a moment, we're going to get to the kit that we intend to build, but first we wanted to show you the previous 3 kits that we had built for the last 3 builds, and we'll start off with the first one that I had done, which is the Henry J. Kaiser 1951, and this one was the Model King release. I'm not sure if Model King, what their deal is, if they have a if they own the molds or if they just do stuff for Revell once in a while, and probably all changed now since now Revell's part of Germany and all whatever. So blah 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 blah. So there we go. This, by the way, this is take 2. Take 1 has an interruption by somebody ringing the doorbell. I thought it was my pizza coming early, but it turns out somebody wanted to sell me solar panels, which is not a bad idea for Arizona. But yeah, anyway, I'm on the clock, man. So this guy here, a challenging little build. It's an old kit. It's an old mold, and it does have those issues. The doors are designed to be openable, but the hinges are so weak and flexible and flimsy that it's not exactly something you want to do very often. As a matter of fact, the passenger door, I think, is trying to fall off. But and also the hood's supposed to flip forward. It doesn't do a very good job. That's probably builder error on my part, since I wasn't that. I was still kind of a novice at that point. But the paint is not by design; it's by necessity. I was inspired to do a paint job like the gasser they had done on Gas Monkey Garage, that really wicked green and gold metallic thing. I had found a paint by Testors in one of their little half-ounce jars, or whatever they are, third-ounce jars, and I was intending to use that, and I thought I'll put down, did the primer thing, and then went down and put down I had some flat green. I thought that would be a good base coat to start with. I'd already painted up all the bits and stuff for the interior and everything, and the chassis and stuff, and that's why that's a little bit jazzier looking than the outside is. But we were not, it was not having it. It did not like, so for some reason, the primer and the paint weren't getting along. Could have been something in the plastic that was coming through the primer. I'm not 100% sure still to this day. But I figured, well, we'll just go back. We'll sand it down. Well, the primer shows through. The primer shows through. We'll let it be. And then I went through the decal stash and found some old Air Force ones from, I think, like a P-51 Mustang from like Vietnam era, or not Vietnam era, that would be silly, Korean era, war era, or something like that. So added the stars and bars on here and there, and then did the number 5, because number 5 is cool. I mean, it's a prime number. How could you go wrong with that? Some tail numbers there, and then we have some hash marks up here of the races that he's won. His kill marks, I guess. We couldn't, the shark mouth didn't fit on here, so I decided I'll just draw it on there, or either didn't, something happened to the decal for the shark mouth. I don't remember what it was, but I thought I'd draw it on there, and I regret that. I regret that. It's just like my tattoo. If I could go back in time, I would change that decision. The scoop here, the intake scoop, that's off of a Corvette model kit that we had, that we I think it was the 69 Revell 2-in-1 Roadster, and I knew I wasn't going to use that on there, so I stuck it on this guy, because the scoop that came with it wasn't very robust looking. The hood, I just decided to make it removable because it does have its problems. I mean, it wants to tip and flip over like this and everything, and it looks like a snowplow, but or a front end loader. We're going to give you a little bit of a close-up here. We did do solder headers on there with collectors. The collectors are, if I remember correctly, just shrink tubing melted on there. And then we did do a electrical tape pulley belt, and I don't mind how it looks. I think I gotten some aluminum pulleys from somebody somewhere, and I put those on there. And then we did the wiring for the spark plugs, and I was fascinated to find out that the spark plugs on these single overhead cam motors, the sock motors, is actually up on the top there like that. So that was kind of fascinating. And then we used blue line slicks from an AMT parts pack type of thing, and then the firewall itself is actually fingernail applique stuff you can get at the at like CVS or whatever. Several guys have been using this type of thing for seat inserts and such, and I always wanted to do a checkerboard firewall. I thought that was just super slick, so I had done that to this little guy here. So we did learn a lot of lessons building this guy, and something I hope to apply for the next one that I want to do, which I have in my nostalgia stash. I should do a video on my nostalgia stash someday. So then for the second year, we decided to up our game. We had grown our skill set a little bit more, and we decided to do this really awesome Revell Corvette kit. I think this is a 58. No, it's a 60. Excuse me, I think it's a 60. And we went with splash paints for this guy here, and we did the 2K clear, splash paints 2K clear on it, and it is friggin' stunning. I love it. It's an awesome color. I did make the mistake of using just a regular gray primer, and what I should have done was used a black primer, because that would make the depth of the paint even more so. So I mean, I remember talking to the guy from Splash Paint, showing him this car, and he was like, "Yeah, did you use a black primer?" And I said, "No, I did." And he goes, "Well, there's your problem." And I'm like, "What problem? It looks awesome." He goes, "Yeah, it's nice." But yeah, it turned out great. We actually took this to Acme back in 2019. And a funny story is, I set this on the table, and then a few minutes later, some young man had come up and put his model. It was the same car, but he painted it black and gold, and he set it right down next to mine. I thought, oh, that's nice looking. And then next thing I know, he's getting invited to come up and get a photograph taken of his from the car magazine guys. And I was like, dang it. So it's like, it is what it is. But yeah, this one actually has her own special little display case that she lives in, up on the display shelf. But this is an amazing kit, and I had a lot of fun building that one. That's why we decided to do the splash paints on that guy. I do wish I had wired the engine. I didn't do that on that one. And then last year, for the third year, we did the Melco Gasser. I think we all remember this one. Paint scheme was basic, pretty simple, but I was having such a hard time with just building the kit and getting the frame straight and all that kind of jazz, that I thought, I'm not gonna put a splash paints on this one here, because that in itself is kind of a time-consuming thing for me, for my skill level. So I thought, we'll just go ahead and dig through the Tamiya paint stash and see what we can find that fits this guy here. And we found, I think, a color that fits perfectly. This awesome light metallic blue, which is catching the light really nice. She doesn't have a clear coat on her at all. That's straight out of the rattle can paint right there. It looks really good, I think. We did do some light modifications to the car. Under the hood here, we put in this little shelf piece in order to hold the magnets, and for the actual hood to sit on, because there was nothing for it to sit on. So this was just a piece of styrene that we added all the way across, cut it out. We notched it out for the scoop and the supercharger and everything. And again, this is a sock motor, so we did the spark plugs up on top. And I did put a magneto on there. I thought the magneto would be kind of a cool little addition. Turns out these cars never ran a magneto, and I was told that was the case. But I don't mind. I like how it looks. And yeah, we did a lot of fudging and fussing and stuff to get this hood to be able to flip forward and be able to close up really nicely, thus the magnets. So I'm thinking that might be something we need to go back and do for the Henry J. Put those on there. So that was the last 3 years. So now we're going to show you what we intend to do this year, and that is this guy here. Well, it's the 41 Willys, a Stone Woods and Cook version. And the great thing about this is that my Uncle Mike remembers watching these race down at Fremont Drag Strip back in the day, and he said that these guys were always a great show to watch. And after we had lunch with him and my Aunt Janice, we had stopped off at a hobby shop, and they had this kit on the shelf. So I thought, that's definitely, that's a sign right there. So this guy has opening doors and trunk. I wasn't too excited about that when I found out about that. So in order to alleviate my distress, my friend was having a sale also, and he had this kit there, so I thought I'd get the body off of this one and then put it on the other kit, on this one, you know, swap them back and forth and all that kind of stuff. And then once I got over the shock of how this one was done, I was taking a close look at it, and I thought, this is actually a pretty good kit, as is this one. So now I'm like, oh, which one do I want to build? And right now I'm at the point, I think I'm going to build them both. Yeah, we're going to try building both of these at the same time, see how that goes. If one is lagging behind the other, then we'll just focus on the one that's in the lead getting finished, and we'll take care of it that way. But for right now, we're planning to do both of these at the same time. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in again. We'll talk to you a little bit later on. Bye now.